Welcome to the fascinating world of ancient Egyptian myths and legends. In this video, we continue our thrilling journey through the realms of gods, heroes, and mystical creatures. Today, we will discover even more incredible stories that have inspired and frightened the ancient Egyptians for centuries. Get ready to dive into a world where the boundaries between reality and myth are blurred, and the stories live on forever. In ancient Egyptian myths, Shu and Tefnut are depicted as the first deities representing air and moisture. Shu, the god of air, was strong and powerful, while Tefnut, the goddess of moisture, was gentle and fertile. Together, they embodied essential elements of life. Their union led to the creation of a new order in the world. Shu and Tefnut separated the heavens from the earth, creating space for the growth and development of all living things. Their story reflects the beginning of the world's organization, which was previously full of chaos. With their arrival, order was established, and life began to flourish. These deities became symbols of the forces necessary for life, illustrating how the harmony between air and moisture is crucial for our existence. Each morning, as Ra, the sun god, rises in the east, his bright light fills the earth with vitality and warmth. But when the sun sets below the horizon, his journey continues in the dark and mysterious underworld. In this mystical realm, Ra overcomes numerous obstacles and trials to return by morning. His path is filled with enigmas and difficulties, as he must traverse the realm of shadows and confront various creatures. Ra's journey is not only a physical journey, but also a symbolic struggle for renewal and the restoration of order. This myth illustrates how even in darkness, Ra brings light and hope, affirming his status as the eternal source of life and energy. Sobek, the crocodile god, was one of the most enigmatic and fearsome deities of ancient Egypt. Representing strength and power, his image was closely associated with the Nile and its inhabitants. Sobek was regarded as the protector of the waters and the patron of the crocodiles living in the sacred river. One of Sobek's most famous deeds was rescuing Isis and her son Horus. When enemies threatened Isis's safety, Sobek assisted them in crossing the Nile, concealing them from their foes within his waters. His protection allowed Isis and Horus to escape death and continue their struggle for the Egyptian throne. Additionally, Sobek was known for his role in the restoration of Osiris's body. He helped gather the scattered pieces of the god's body, which were dispersed along the Nile, enabling Isis to revive her husband. Nekhbet, the vulture goddess, embodied protection and royal authority. She was depicted either as a vulture or with a vulture's head, symbolizing her keen vision and strength. Nekhbet was the protector of Upper Egypt and was regarded as the patroness of pharaohs, safeguarding them from enemies and calamities. One famous myth recounts how Nekhbet saved a pharaoh from an attack by serpent-like monsters sent by his rivals. During a great battle, when enemies surrounded the royal army, Nekhbet descended from the heavens like a majestic vulture and scattered the foes with her powerful wings. Her intervention led to victory and peace in the land. Nekhbet was also believed to be the guardian of childbirth and the health of pharaohs, making her role an integral part of their power and legitimacy. Hapi, the god of the Nile, personified the river itself, which provided life and prosperity to the entire country. Hapi was depicted with characteristic features, large vessels filled with water. According to the myths, Hapi was the source of the great inundation that annually renewed the soil of Egypt. This flood was vital for agriculture as it brought silt, enriching the land and promoting the growth of crops. Hapi was considered a generous god, providing the pharaohs and the people with wealth and harvest. One well-known story tells how Hapi, responding to the prayers of the Egyptians, caused a magnificent flood that brought an incredible harvest and relieved the country from famine. The myth of Hapi also highlights his connection to the cyclical nature of life and nature. The Nile River was not only a physical source of water, but also a symbol of constant renewal and rebirth. Bennu, the sacred bird associated with the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, was typically depicted as a bird resembling a heron or ibis. According to myths, Bennu was closely linked with the cycle of the sun's rising and setting, as well as with the renewal of nature. One of the most famous stories about Bennu is his role in the creation of the world. It was believed that Bennu rose from the waters of chaos when the world was just beginning to form, and his song attracted the sun, which began its journey across the heavens. Thus, Bennu symbolized the start of a new cycle and the renewal of the world. Egyptians believed that after death, the soul could be reborn, like the Bennu bird rising to life from the ashes. This symbolism was connected to the concept of the immortality of the soul and the possibility of resurrection. It was believed that a powerful and mysterious creature known as the Black Nile serpent dwelled in the Nile. Ancient Egyptians thought its appearance could either signify a great blessing or a disaster. For example, if the river began to flood excessively, it was considered a sign that the serpent had awakened and needed to be appeased. In such cases, special rituals and sacrifices were performed to placate the creature and restore harmony to the river. However, the Black Nile serpent was not always hostile. In myths, it was also seen as a guardian of ancient knowledge and power. It was believed that only those who could tame the serpent would gain access to unimaginable secrets and the mysteries of nature. The legend said that great magicians and pharaohs sometimes sought out this enigmatic serpent to receive its blessing and achieve unprecedented success. Heike, the god of eternity and infinity, personified the concept of endless time and eternal existence. He was depicted as a man with a head adorned with the symbol of infinity. According to myths, Heike was one of the primordial deities involved in the creation and maintenance of cosmic order. In ancient Egyptian mythology, his role was associated with the concept of infinite time that existed before and after the creation of the world. Heike was considered one of the four deities who supported the celestial vault, ensuring its stability and preventing it from falling to the earth. Additionally, Heike was revered in funerary rituals, where his image was used to ensure eternal life and protect the soul after death. It was believed that prayers and rituals dedicated to Heike could grant souls peace and infinite existence in the afterlife. Renenutet, the goddess of harvest and fertility, was depicted as a snake or a woman with a headdress adorned with snake motifs. She personified the protection of crops and fertility. One of the well-known stories about Renenutet is her involvement in rituals related to the first harvest. According to the myth, she would come to the fields in the form of a snake and guard the grain to ensure it brought wealth and abundance. Pharaohs and farmers regularly made offerings and prayers to Renenutet to gain her support and receive her blessing for a good harvest. In some myths, her favor was believed to result in a particularly bountiful harvest, while her anger could lead to disasters and food shortages. Therefore, her worship was closely tied to harvest festivals and rituals conducted to ensure fertility and protect crops. The Sphinx, one of the most enigmatic and majestic creatures in ancient Egyptian mythology, embodied the protection of sacred lands and secret knowledge. This mythical being was often depicted as a lion with a human head. Its statues were commonly placed at the entrances to temples and tombs. One of the famous stories about the Sphinx is connected to the myth of the Great Pyramid of Giza, where the renowned Great Sphinx stands. According to the myth, the Sphinx was created by a pharaoh to guard his tombs and ensure eternal rest. Additionally, the Sphinx was associated with myths about secret knowledge and riddles. In some versions of the myth, the Sphinx posed riddles to travelers and those seeking access to sacred sites. Answers to these riddles were meant to demonstrate the wisdom of those seeking knowledge or access to sacred mysteries. Rekhite, the goddess embodying the protection of the southern borders of ancient Egypt. She was depicted either as a woman with a headdress adorned with symbols associated with the south and border regions, or as a woman with the head of a lioness. According to myths, Rekhite was known as a powerful protector, guarding Egypt's southern frontiers against invasions and attacks from southern neighbors like the Nubians. Her role involved not only safeguarding the territory, but also maintaining order and security on these strategically vital borders. In myths, her protection was envisioned as an unbroken wall that prevented enemies from penetrating the country and disrupting its peace. In this legend, Rekhite was portrayed as a warrior goddess who single-handedly repelled attacks and defended the sacred lands from incursions. In ancient Egyptian myths, there was a mysterious and terrifying creature known as Nomak. Nomak was depicted as a sinister being with features of a water demon, whose vengeful nature could bring disasters to the lands of Egypt. When the Nile flooded unevenly, catastrophes such as droughts, floods, and diseases occurred. Egyptians believed that these misfortunes were the result of Nomak's anger, which had not been properly appeased. To calm Nomak and avoid his wrath, Egyptians performed special rituals and made sacrifices, hoping to ensure protection and favorable conditions for the Nile's inundation. Priests and magicians tried to appease the creature to guarantee that the water would come in the right amounts and not cause destruction. Hathor, one of the most multifaceted goddesses of ancient Egypt, embodied love, music, and joy. She was often depicted as a woman with cow horns. Hathor was the patroness of music, dance, and festivals. However, Hathor also had a more fearsome side. In myths of her anger, she transformed into a terrifying lioness known as Sekhmet. Sekhmet, the goddess of destruction and wrath, could instill terror on earth with her furious behavior. This dual nature of Hathor highlighted her power and ability to be both benevolent and dangerous, depending on her mood and the situation. According to legend, when Egyptians offended the deities or violated important rituals, Hathor could express her anger through Sekhmet. In this state, she became a fierce lioness, capable of bringing illness and destruction to people. The legend of the drop of the ruby bloodstone. It is believed that this magical stone, possessing incredible power, can only be found in the most remote and unexplored parts of Egypt. According to the myths, it was created by ancient gods as a source of inexhaustible strength and wealth. Its possessor could gain power and influence beyond human limits. The path to it is filled with dangers and trials. It leads through desert expanses, cracks, and deep underground passages where ancient creatures and traps are set to protect the stone from uninvited guests. Those who manage to reach the bloodstone find that its power demands a sacrifice. The stone not only brings wealth and power, but also great sorrow. The holders of the stone often lose everything they hold dear in pursuit of greater ambitions. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on more fascinating myths and legends from the past. Leave your comments and share your thoughts on how you relate to the pursuit of power and wealth in your own journey. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.